There are doors everywhere, and all of them locked. Suddenly, I saw something moving between two yew trees. A dim white figure.
The Threshold Paranormal Podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Threshold Paranormal Podcast. As always, this is Nick, my good friend Dylan.
I'm Dylan.
My good friend Brian.
He's Dylan.
Today we got actually a pretty good show lined up for you. We're going to talk a little bit about Helltown, a little bit about Aleister Crowley, and from what I understand, Dylan has a good surprise for us at some point.
Yeah, we talked about it. I thought it'd be cool to get a fresh reaction.
Yeah.
Is that why you were like sitting all weird a couple minutes ago, or what?
I was sitting weird.
Oh, where were you hiding something?
So we're gonna start off with like Helltown, right? Think that's the plan?
Yeah,
I think that's.
I think I remember how to do this. We're like getting back in the saddle.
Yeah, we had to take like a fucking month-long hiatus because I had a COVID scare in the family. My wife contracted the virus, and she was pretty fine though, but no fevers, no nothing. Just in general feeling like dog shit, and then she lost her sense of smell, and then she lost her sense of taste, and with her sense of taste, like it got so bad that she started thinking that NSYNC was better than the Backstreet Boys. So, I mean, I don't know if you've ever fucking heard that Millennium album, but let's not fucking go there. Anyway, so yeah, let's dive into this fucking Helltown thing.
No. Let's address the elephant in the room. I think you just said the Backstreet Boys are better than NSYNC. I want to be objective and truthful in this podcast.
JT?
I think it's just.
It's time. We have creative differences.
You know what? There's only one way to settle this. We're going out to the garage. We're having Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
Welcome
2 minutes.
to the Thunderdome. But yeah, fucking Helltown.
What is Helltown, Brian?
Dude, if there could ever be just a weirder kind of dive into something, and of course, when you think of an abandoned town in Ohio, to me, like it's some kind of like, it's not like spooky. It's just like a rundown old fucking factory town because we got a shitload of those kind of areas here. But so Helltown has like a very kind of deep history in that area. It is up in, it's actually considered Boston, Ohio, but I guess the whole area of what's considered Helltown kind of overlaps into some different towns.
It's like the Cleveland Metro, right?
Yeah, it's in that like kind of, what is it, the Cuyahoga River Valley, yeah, all that kind of shit. So, but it actually, so the history of this place goes back, way back when we came over here and were fucking with the Native Americans and shit. So, it's from what I found out was the Lenape Indians, or the more kind of common name for them is the Delaware Indians. And they had a village located on Clear Creek near the abandoned town. So it says that pretty much they were a group of Native Americans that were from Delaware, New Jersey, Eastern New York, and Eastern Pennsylvania. And it was like settled, from what I could gather, like kind of 1758. It was when like all this shit started happening. So it's like there's all this like convoluted history of all that shit, because there was so much Native American fighting, because the town actually sits on like what was considered a war trail and all this other shit, which I guess they used to move to and from to get to locate other locations to fight and shit and defend themselves.
The colonists used to move war stuff?
The
natives
I mean, it was a little bit of both, because that was when we were big on that kind of westward expansion. We just kept creeping and creeping and creeping.
Destiny and all that
so
shit.
At first, I from what I could gather, the Lenapes moved from their kind of native regions out to Ohio, to that area, and then when the white people kept fucking moving in, there was
fucking trailer cheers kind of
situation. There's gonna be battles, please. But it's also called where was it here? Oh, the site also, once it was settled, the site itself has been abandoned like numerous times by like the early settlers. So once the natives were pushed out of the area, like the site was first abandoned in like 1782 because the people got tired of clashing with the natives in the area. It essentially turned into like fuck that, we don't want it, too much bloodshed over it. You know, they didn't see any kind of real need for it. You know, but all the Native American bloodshed shit goes on for a long fucking time. But there's actually a mound of high earth there, similar to like the
Serpent Mound.
Yeah, the serpent mounds. And they found stone axes, gun flint. So, you know, the natives were actually, you know, had defeated some settlers and were
It's twice that's happened.
And were taking their firearms. You know, they found muskets and everything else. But it's really kind of just that more sad, fucked up Native American history, you know, where we pushed them out and came in and kept pushing them and killing them. And I think in the biggest battle that was fought there was 96 Lenape were killed in that area. Ooh. So in that, what is now Helltown, you have a shitload of historical death right there, which, you know, how we talked about on previous podcasts, could kind of stir the weird pot,
like a psychic memory kind of thing.
Yeah, but then into like the modern time, once it became Boston, Ohio, that whole city was founded in 1806, and it's actually the oldest village in Summit County. So, and it had its typical kind of old kind of growth. You know, it never grew quick, never really ballooned into what it could have been, or all that kind of shit. And then the Cuyahoga Valley National Park is now what all that area's been turned into.
So this is a town that was abandoned once before.
It's been abandoned from like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
But it was, once it became like the town we know of, that didn't happen until where was it?
Like the 60s or 70s, right?
Yeah. It was in 1985 when it kind of ceased to finally exist. But it's always kind of struggled. It's never really, from what I can tell, had a super firm footing for very long. But a lot of the shit, I guess kind of the folklore of it, because, dude, you dive into this, and it was everything from ghosts to people seeing this, like a giant fucking serpent and shit. They're like claiming this. There's no fucking proof. There's no evidence. There's no video, no pictures, no nothing. And so it's all just kind of, Joey was out in the fucking woods and saw a giant snake. Well, they think, and I have no idea how to pronounce this name, the Kretchy Dump. And I guess that the town dump or the county dump was exposed to like tons of fucking hazardous waste. And that was
I've heard that.
Yeah, the cleanup project was enormous to get this place even fit to be to become into the national park kind of thing.
Right.
And it was all wrapped up. Pretty much how that shit happened was Gerald Ford signed legislators back in the day that allowed the federal government to kind of take what they wanted essentially and just pay you for your shit. So they could come in and be like, "Oh, we're expanding this park, and just so happens you're going to fall into where we're expanding. Here's what your property's valued at."
It's like eminent domain gone awry.
It's that kind of shit.
Thing.
So, and the locals, it was almost all across the board of taken very negatively. None of them, none of them wanted to go. And from what I read too, there's reports that there are still people like living in Helltown, like kind of like mild, like tent cities, kind of vagabonds, wanderers kind of folk. And so like people have said like when they go up there and to look around, that they'll come back and see people like around their fucking car with flashlights,
looking for stuff.
Not looking. Yeah,
it is Cleveland, so
it is near that area.
East
So
side Cleveland, wild boy.
But yeah, but just with the connection that people make with the giant snake report shit is like, oh, there were so many toxic chemicals dumped there, and the town dumped that it's caused some genetic mutation in a snake, and
that's such a tired story.
It's dude, it's some Chernobyl shit.
It's the same thing they tried to say about Mothman from the TNT area. is that it's some kind of freak mutant. And I'm like, so like poisonous chemicals don't cause superpowers or supernatural ability. That's like only in comic books, you know. It's much more likely that it's going to cause like lymphoma or something.
Right, like some major cancer.
Yeah, just like a debilitating illness. Not.
I will say that the coolest fucking thing is there's like, from what I can tell, it's still standing too. Because it's the thing, there's a lot of like weird. It seems like everywhere on there that I looked, there was slightly clashing information, and no one had like a concrete story. It all seemed like relative hearsay. Like, this is kind of how it happened. Well, but I think this is kind of how it happened. So, but there's this kick-ass, you know, typical creepy abandoned Presbyterian church, and from the pictures I found online, it didn't look like run down and torn to shit.
I saw those, yeah,
from the outside. But people are like, oh, you go in there and there's, you know, upside down crosses, so it's obviously a satanic church, and I think that's how the name got coined for Helltown.
Right.
Was I mean, I'm not saying that there couldn't have been kind of cultish activities in the area, but it seems to me like some kids fucking broke in there, vandalized the fucking church, fuck with the crosses on the wall, and then it got labeled, oh, it's this, you know, drew some dumb pentagrams on the fucking floor, you know, and kind of got that rep for it. But
so some of the research I did, they were talking about the architecture of the church, because like in the front entryway, there's like an inverted cross, but they were saying that that's like common for churches built in that era, because it's like an American Gothic style architecture or something like that.
Yeah,
so like if you look up a picture of the church, like in the archway in the front, there's like a inverted cross, or what kind of looks like an inverted cross. But
I'll tell you one thing that is fucking kind of weird that the neighboring town runs with, or the city itself, kind of Boston, Ohio, they celebrate Python Day, which is kind of like, you know how down in West Virginia they do the whole Mothman celebration thing. So up in that area they do Python Day, which is the celebration for what they call their Peninsula Python. You know,
it's just a cryptid
which is their own little. I mean, I'd never heard of it till digging into this. So, but from like again from all the shit I read, dude, it just seems like that area has just suffered from like chronic fucking bad luck.
Right
from day one. Like it's, you know, like the Indians fucking left, they got here, couldn't escape the bullshit. Then the white folk moved in, tried to do their shit, and everything floundered. So it's just, you just fucking give up on it. You know what I mean? Just fucking kind of cut your losses.
How many times has your town had to be abandoned before?
Dude, it's like, I mean, I got to give him credit for not fucking quitting, dude.
Hey, all I'm saying is property's probably pretty cheap.
Well, you can't buy it now because it's a national park.
I'm surprised Dollar General hasn't moved in or something.
Oh, there's probably $3 Dollar Generals in there.
There's probably a couple.
There's somewhere in there. Like, they're inside the church, there's a little Dollar General stand.
Someone's got to sell Python memorabilia.
Right.
I wonder if there's a fucking Bob Evans there.
I guarantee you it's inside the Satanic Church in the basement.
We're not going to forget.
Never forget Bob Evans.
The cremation furnace is actually made for the sausages.
There's a portal to Bob Evans inside the Satan Church.
My thought process with this, of how like kind of the urban legend shit starts and grows, is like if you're from Ohio, or like if you're from the fucking Midwest in general, it's a boring ass fucking spot. Mm-hmm. And so when you're young and growing up, you have nothing better to do, like the fucking Lick Road shit we did and all the other shit. You have nothing really better to do some nights than to just go to somewhere that's supposedly spooky. Mm-hmm. What's spookier than an abandoned town?
Oh, if I lived in Cleveland, 100% I'm going to Helltown.
And you just the shit grows from there. It kind of turned into its own thing, but it's still popular. It's still a popular spot, you know, for people to investigate. And it's honestly, even the park itself, it's a very pretty park, you know. It's got all the fucking nature you could want now that everything's been kind of clear cut. And that's another thing. All the homes that were there, like the surviving homes, everything was leveled in 2016.
See, that sucks.
So, I mean,
but also,
they talk back in the day of people going to these abandoned houses and capturing real shit. And the thought process for me behind that is like, hey, you had all these people that had their family homes, you know, that worked their lives to buy this house, and all of a sudden the government's coming in and be like, oh, you got to leave. You know, what if that's the, you know, the place of their family, you know, where they grew up and everything else. So you could have a lot of attachment to those homes. And so I don't doubt that when people went there prior to their, you know, demolition, that they were finding shit, because the whole area, like from the Native Americans to the people losing their fucking homes. I mean, it's just
Right.
It's been definitely given a shit sandwich as far as history goes. But other than that, dude, Helltown was kind of it didn't like. I still would like to go, but it just kind of bummed me out a little bit because I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
like you cannot fucking have a name like you cannot have a fucking name
It's
like
all hype.
Helltown. Yeah,
It's all smoke and
Yeah.
that fire.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like what the fuck is this? So I'm like Googling. I'm like, oh man, dude, this shit's gonna be fucking dope.
Yep.
And you start reading, you're like, fuck.
Almost everything, all the urban legends were debunked because I was looking into it too, and it was like there was like a bus that was supposed to be this bus that was like a
The abandoned haunted. But dude, I didn't even want to fucking like write about it because like I'm not saying a bus can't be haunted,
sure.
but your fucking bus ain't haunted, dude.
Yeah, it's just a bus. A bus that isn't crashed, for one. It's not haunted.
I'm not gonna say it, but fuck it, I'm gonna say it. Like,
Yeah. Well, there was people that like took a picture of that bus. I guess back in the 90s or 2000s, and there were faces in the bus. But then there's like turns out the people were living in there. You know, like
oh yeah.
so. A lot of this stuff's been debunked, and like the architecture of the church, and just so much urban legend, and
it would
just
still be cool to
myth
check
mixed
out
in.
because I mean, just to like kind of the thing of being like, I've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to have that little kind of coin to, toss around. Like, yeah, I went to Helltown, Ohio, blah, blah. Saw some fucking squirrels and a giant fucking snake. That's not going to fucking happen, but
I mean, that squirrel was a little bigger than average.
it's from the dump. It's from the, how the fuck would you even say this name? Please, if you are from that fucking area, Krejci.
KR.
It looks like a fucking word that like Google Translate tried to like transcribe from like Cyrillic. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Like it looks like some Russian
Porn
dude's about to
outfit.
like walk out with like a fifth of fucking vodka and pronounce the name. But yes, and I've heard, like, I saw multiple kind of like message boards that like the rangers of the area are really tired of like
People coming in.
fucking dealing with people. So
Well, that is one thing because I messaged you. Was like, well, we could go out there and camp out or something for the night. And I was like, it says very explicitly on their website, like
we're
we do
not down to
do-
break the law. But if you camp, dude, you'd have to go like super fucking low profile, dude. Like I don't even think you could do a tent. You'd have to like probably just like fucking ground camp.
I don't know what their situation is with cameras and stuff like that, but
See, well, I saw tons of people that like on YouTube that had gone there. So like the recording thing was fine.
during the day,
Yeah, during the day, but like I'm sure that if you weren't like causing a fucking scene or if it wasn't that busy, I don't.
well, the
Usually they won't fuck with you.
the best practice would be to get some kind of permit or permission, but I don't even know if that would be feasible.
You got to think of a town like that. How many fucking times have they been asked? You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're probably auto answered to fucking no.
But also, what are we going to look at? Because all the buildings are leveled. Like, go walk around on
the
some
church
road.
seemed to still be standing, and there was like a barn, like random shit. Because I think the
Yeah.
barn, like I saw that the barn, they were like, I don't know if they were trying to rehab it or some shit, but it looked like it was being worked on.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if they like. My thought was that maybe the county's going to use it for some type of like storage for like vehicles to like upkeep trails or whatever.
Right.
Because I know like out in East Fork they had a fucking barn like that they kind of reused for their own purposes and shit. But yeah, it was kind of a fucking bust. Like, sorry, Helltown. Like we really wanted you to be badass, but you're in Ohio and
Just kind of debunked by a lot of people.
Typical Cleveland.
there's no
Typical.
there's
That's why
no
LeBron
giant
left.
pythons.
Well, he came back.
Nobody came back.
And then he left again.
And then he left again.
He came back and went, nah, for real though, fuck this.
Helltown's not even haunted. I'm out.
If you guys had a real haunted town, I'd have fucking stayed. No, but like I'm not. If you've been there, and like that's another thing too. If you're watching, you've been here, and if you've seen some shit, or you know any other like kind of stories, let us know, because like I had a hard time finding. Like there's tons of videos of people like going there and shit and looking around, but none of them ever had any kind of concrete thing. Like I watched this one goofy video of it's one of those guys where like everything he sees is an apparition.
Right.
Like, I saw a shadow over there in the trees. I'm like, dude, like the fucking wind's blowing, the sun's going down, you're having shadows changing with the dude. I'm like, no, you
took all that
I don't doubt that you
mescaline.
saw a shadow. I just doubt your credibility about shadow judging.
Right.
You're a really shitty shadow judger.
Well, it's like we've
Every
talked
shadow
about,
is a ghost for sure.
It's like we've talked about with like the Bigfoot people, where some of them it's like every little crack of a twig or anything.
the blob
like, that was a
squatchers, dude.
squatch.
Blob squatchers. They every little. If you zoom in right here to where it's so fucking pixelated you can't even tell what
Yeah.
you're looking at. That's a Sasquatch.
That's a squatch.
Seems squatchy.
Oh God, the fucking.
And that's what's it kind of sucks, man, is because stuff like that, it makes really good TV, and stupid people watch it.
But I've fuck you. I watched a little bit of it.
I'm not saying
It's
I'm
just
not
guilty
saying anything.
pleasures. It's like
It is.
You're always sitting there, you're like fucking. You're balls deep in a bag of Funyuns, dude, and you're just like, they're gonna find it this time.
Just dust dripping
Yeah,
down.
this is
Made
the
a little,
time.
This is
little
when
spot right here.
This is when they get the Squatch.
It
I tell
totally
you.
would have been all over the internet before this aired that they found one, but they're gonna find it.
dramatic music, cut to commercial break. I wonder. I can't look away. I wonder if they got him.
That's how they get you that. But I don't, it's good TV. I ain't gonna fuck.
I always said, like, if they found Bigfoot on one of those shows, it would not be like a secret. You wouldn't have to wait to tune in. Everyone would know.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Fuck no.
It'd be the most watched televised event ever.
yeah.
It'd be like it would beat out the Super Bowl. If someone's found.
And surprisingly, I didn't
Bigfoot.
see any fucking Squatchy report shit from Helltown. You know, they got the ghost. I know why.
The python.
The python's eating.
They're fighting each other.
The python's eating the fucking
It's
Bigfoot.
Kong versus Godzilla out there.
Yeah. It's like
And
it's
Helltown.
like pre Ghidorah before he sprouts his other fucking heads and shit. So it's when he's just
Doesn't have
single-headed.
wings.
Dude,
Yeah.
what if Bigfoot rolls around in some of that toxic waste? We're gonna have a sticky situation on our hands.
Fuck, make a Squatch, dude.
That's how we end up with King Kong.
Mega Squatch? Oh, Stinky? Yeah.
That's the Beast Titan.
We're gonna field this movie to some people in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So
They're gonna be
ready.
like, "What drugs are you smoking?"
Judd
yeah, I just
Apatow, if
me
you're
and Dylan
listening.
talked. We're like, yeah, what subject do you want to take to research? And Dylan's like, you should take the shitty one. I'm like, all right, okay.
Hey, you asked. Hey, I think we all thought Helltown was gonna be
Dude,
dope.
fuck yeah, I did, man. I was like, dude, this is gonna be fucking
Hey,
metal, but no.
With a name like that, you'd think like there's at least like a metal album.
I'm
about
gonna
it.
stop referring to it as Helltown, and I'm just gonna start calling it what it is:
Hecktown?
Boston,
Boston,
Ohio.
Ohio. That's disrespectful to Boston because Boston, Massachusetts, super haunted.
Oh yeah, God yeah.
Yeah, so
Stuff
call it
everywhere.
Fucking
Hecktown.
car keys and shit everywhere, dude.
Khakis
floating
in my
around.
khakis.
Hecktown.
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 All right,
Because
we'll call
it
Hecktown.
tries, but it just fails.
It's Hecktown,
Law.
Ohio. Case solved. So
Sealed.
Sorry to fuss with you guys.
maybe fucking Aleister Crowley can turn this shit around.
Before we go to Aleister, though, I have another local legend from the Ohio
Oh shit.
area.
the Ohio.
Before we hop across the pond to address Aleister. So you get on US 52
Yeah.
and you head out of Cincinnati going east. You come up to Georgetown. But there's a part of Georgetown, or it's a part of Brown County, Bigfoot, unrelated, called Utopia, Ohio. So it was called Utopia because back in 1844, I had to consult my book here. Back in 1844, it was founded by like a guy that was trying to start like an agricultural commune. He was like a socialist guy, and it kind of failed. And then another guy.
I bet everyone like walked around fucking naked and wore sandals and shit, didn't they?
Oh yeah. Well, this was in the 1800s, so they were probably wearing like
Oh,
wool
no.
jackets
Yeah,
and
wool-
sandals.
Yeah, wool everything then.
Super scratchy, and
Bummer.
uncomfortable. But so that the original settlement kind of like didn't really do very well, and then later, a guy named John Waddles moved to the area and brought like 100 spiritualists. So this is during that kind of spiritualist boom that we've been talking about, middle 1800s to like the turn of the century. So he brought like 100 spiritualists to this area, to Utopia, and started changing things. And there was a church there, and for whatever reason, he decided this church needs to be moved closer to the Ohio River. So one night, I don't know if you've ever been to Coney Island downtown.
Yeah, what the fuck?
You know that thing that shows all the different floods?
Yeah.
It's like that pole that has the markers for all the different floods. Well, if you build a church below the floodplain next to a fucking giant river,
Oh, yeah.
and you pack 100 spiritualists in the basement, it's a recipe for disaster. So all these people get killed, except for 6 people.
Wait, he moved. Okay, so they moved the church closer to the fucking river. Why were they?
It's I'm sorry, not a church. It's like a stone house.
Why the fuck were they all in the basement during a flood?
I don't understand these people. But anyways,
Was it one of them like fucking kooky suicide cult shit?
let me make sure.
It very well could have been.
They were called Foyerites. What was the name? They're kind of like Mennonite. They were like anti-technology, anti-industrialization sort of people.
Anti-breathing.
They were
above
wearing
water.
Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
They were the original Birkenstock wearer people.
Jesus.
Baron Tachuli and shit. But these spiritualists, so in their traditions, right? They believed no man or woman really dies. While their corporeal beings may decay, their spirits survive, existing somewhere in the ether as alive as ever. In order to communicate with the spirits, their words had to be filtered through a medium. The souls of the dead could speak with the living through written messages, manifestations, trance speaking, spirit photography, and music. So these were like seance, like these are like heavy duty spiritualists.
So they base their whole kind of shit on like that
esoteric
kind of
stuff.
thing,
Yeah. So there's this guy named Richard Crawford. He's like a local legend, especially in Claremont County where we live. Like he would come to our elementary school and like tell us ghost stories around Halloween time and stuff
what
like
the
that.
fuck? I don't
Super
even
cool
heard
guy.
this dude. Hell
He
yeah.
passed away in 2018, but yeah, he's kind of a local legend.
Maybe we
but
can reach out to him.
He even wrote.
he passed away. Oh, I see what you did there.
We do have a spirit box now.
Well, he went there, so the house still exists. It's like
They all fucking died in?
It's 150 years old. It exists at this address. I'm not going to say the address out loud because
But we're gonna fucking go there.
it's on US 52, so that's where it's at.
So we gotta go there.
Well, I Google Maps it, right? It has 2 front doors, just like the Mennonite house that we investigated.
Oh, Billy and Christy, hope you guys are fucking watching.
Yeah, it has 2 living rooms, one for men, one for women. But anyways, so he goes to this house, right? Richard Crawford does. He's also kind of like a paranormal investigator type guy. Or he was, I'm sorry. And he's investigating this house, and the all of the families that have lived there over the years have said they see 6 people dressed in like period clothing, like walk into the house or walk across the yard to the house, and their clothing's all soaking wet.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
fuck, dude.
I'm gonna paraphrase kind of what happened.
Oh,
But,
tell them about the book first. Like, what's the
oh
book?
yeah, sure.
Shout out the book.
So the book is Ghost Stories of Ohio. It's probably, I have a lot of ghost story books from Ohio. There's a few other ones, but this one I found was like the most like detailed. I really like this one. It's written by Edrick Thay, but he does ghost stories of North Carolina, ghost stories of.
We can try to put a link. I'm sure you can. We'll try to put a link up
I can
on
link
it.
that.
Yeah.
But I'll paraphrase. Basically, so he took a film crew to this house to investigate it. And he's in the bedroom upstairs, and I guess the family that lived there at the time, their daughter was being like really disruptive to like the film crew. She kept like coming in and saying, I want to be on TV and shit. And so I guess the mom finally shoos her away, and she comes in, and like in the middle of their like session, she's like, no. I had to turn the people away at the door. The 6 people, they were all wet. And she was a young girl. She never heard the stories before.
That's fucking horrifying,
Yeah.
bro.
Something like to that effect.
Is the place like all locked down? Like, can you?
No people live there.
Oh, so it's a fucking.
It's a home.
Still a house.
Oh, it's still just a fucking family residence.
It's a family residence, and like I Google Maps it, and like there's cars in the driveway. Yeah, they kept it well. Like it's well
wonder if
kept.
they're having any kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I
activity.
figured I could send them a letter. I feel like if you show up on their doorstep, they just
I would,
shoot you.
yeah.
You know?
just maybe like a letter, just like subtly reach out, be like, "Hey, heard your place is fucking spoopy."
Yeah, you ever see 6
You ever
wet
see
people walking
6
through your lawn?
wet dead fucking people? Like,
But you could see the house, and if you do an about face, you face the Ohio River. It's across like
And
a
so that,
one
like,
field.
Super
so
flat
that
field.
area
Yeah.
was the Utopia. Or that was. Does
Yeah.
that house sit like
So-
in what the land was, or
It's not a very populated area. It's considered a ghost town technically.
Yeah.
But there are people who live there along 52,
that
which is
kind
the
of a
road
fucking desolate. Yeah,
it's the road that hugs the Ohio River that leads you into Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Ooh.
It's a desolate fucking area.
But yeah, it's really rural, and there's only one other building that remains there from that time period, and they call it the Underground Church. It's like a stone structure.
Jesus, dude.
A stone structure
Was
built
it used
underground.
by the people?
Another
or-
this is one of those Helltown type of stories. A lot of people that there's a tour group that goes through there and they tell you it's like this was a logger cellar, but it's still kind of creepy. It's like it's got big arched ceilings and
Still be
stuff.
fucking
So
dope.
many German immigrants that moved there
Yeah,
because of how close it is to Cincinnati, so they think it was a logger cellar.
that's fucking.
yeah, that's a
dope,
crazy
though.
story.
As far as like the local shit goes, I also have a fucking book, and it's what's dope is it? Fuck. What's dope? This is a book from my fucking childhood. This is not the actual book I had grown up, but the book is called Unexplained, and it's by Jerome Clark. Big ass,
Tome.
heavy duty motherfucker. I devoured this as a damn kid. There's literally if any kind of like paranormal shit you're interested in, it's in the book. I picked this up used for like $9, I think. And so I'm sure you can, find it for much cheaper if you actually give a shit about looking. But this is actually where I found out personally about the whole Loveland Frogman kind of shit that was going on here in Ohio. But
Right down the road from here.
yeah, dope book. Highly fucking recommend it. But I think this is going to be some good like reference material later on. But I was like struggling like hell to actually find this damn thing. Not too much like ghost stuff. That book's more cryptid based. I mean, there are some kind of spectral things in there.
Yeah.
But it's mainly like
Some
your
of them kind of
stereotypical.
blur that line.
It's your stereotypical fucking hairy biped, chupacabra, Loch Ness monster kind of shit. But there's even kind of UFO stuff in there. Like there's a whole chapter about like ringing stones that are kind of unexplainable.
Ringing stones.
Geologically, like people have these stones that for some reason, I mean, they're massive. They haven't been made. They're fucking natural. But when they're struck, they resonate.
Ooh.
And I guess geologists have looked into it, and there's no natural reason that a stone like that should be doing that to their knowledge. So it's a bunch of kind of anomalous kind of shit. But good fucking read. Since we're talking about the books and shit, and I think we should do more of that, man. Any kind of cool shit we find like that, just kind of highlight. I think I've mentioned that on one of our earlier podcasts, and we were digging through the house, cleaning shit up, and found that copy of it that I had buried away. So,
Pretty dope.
But whatever
Who
else
wrote
I
it?
find.
Who wrote that book?
Jerome Clark.
Jerome Clark.
I don't know anything about the dude, but he made one kick-ass novel. So
One more thing, a note from this book. We talk about like the places having a memory or like a residual energy. They have a name for that. They call it a psychic echo, and that's one thing that Richard Crawford talked about. Not Richard Crawford, the author of this book, Edrick Thay. He says perhaps they felt a psychic echo of a tragedy that had taken place over a century ago. The legacy of two failed attempts to establish paradise on Earth. Psychic
Makes sense,
echo.
dude.
So we have a name for that phenomenon.
So now we go and start our own commune.
It doesn't seem like there's a good track
we're
record
not
there.
fucking wearing wool shit though. It's too hot.
Yeah, no.
It's too hot here during the summer.
Can we
We're
be like?
wearing exclusively latex.
I want to be like
What
basketball
if a member has
shorts and a
latex-
tank top
latex
on.
allergy?
They're not in.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's the dress code.
This is not a commune for the week.
Or we could get the bubble suits like Zoltan on Dude, Where's My Car?
Zoltan. So, I guess totally unrelated. We could talk about Crowley.
Well, not totally unrelated.
Cute on the
It's all
encore.
kind of under the
We're
umbrella.
talking
of
about
spooky
weird
stuff.
shit. He's a weird person.
He's a weird dude. I got
Lay it on us, Dill.
many pages of notes about this man.
You wrote a fucking book over there yourself.
So, Aleister Crowley, should I say Edward Crowley? That was his birth name.
What a fucking phony.
He's kind of an asshole, to be honest with you. This is what I've learned. Also known as the Great Beast, 666, and the wickedest man alive.
Because of course.
I mean, fuck it. Why not, dude?
He actually, the Great Beast was a name given to him by his mom. When she walked in.
How was their relationship?
Not great.
It's clearly just what
She-
everyone wants with their child.
She walked in on him banging the housemaid, and she called him a beast, and he's like, "Oh, I kind of like that nickname.
Fuck
I think I'm gonna run with it."
What did the maid call him?
Daddy.
Whatever he wanted, I guess. But there's sort of this thing, like, if you interacted with Aleister Crowley, your life went to shit. So that maid ended up becoming a prostitute after that. And, like, every relationship he had, like, one of his wives ended up being checked into, like, a mental institution.
He had kids, too, didn't he?
He had one daughter that he abandoned. Like, literally, like, kind of, like, just checked her into boarding schools and stuff, and like never really addressed her.
Typical,
like, just kind of
typical
locked her away.
satanic,
Yeah,
you know,
locked her
absent
away.
father.
Honestly, she's probably better off.
Yeah, probably.
But one of his kids died when they were 2, and then, it's sort of later in life. He had like a child later in life, and I guess he actually
That was
raised
a son,
that one,
wasn't it?
Yeah, he raised his son,
So I
named
remember-
his son Aleister
Yeah,
too.
I remember, and that son is deceased as well, isn't he?
I haven't followed up on him. I don't know.
think I remember reading that the son kind of didn't lead like a similar life, but because of like all the shit his dad, I guess, was into, it kind of fucked his life up along with him, because he was carrying around the fucking weight of that family name and shit.
Of course it would.
Yeah, so I think I'm pretty sure he passed away with some kind of weird circumstances. But I read one book about him, and it said that towards the end, like right before Crowley died, I guess he kind of discovered what it was like to be a dad with his last child.
Right.
But he's already in, older age. But they talked about him having like remorse for like kind of being such a fuck up, and like not being there, not being a parent. He kind of, I think towards the end, maybe saw the error of his ways.
Right, because like he's like most famous for founding his religion, Thelema. And which the sort of like the main tenet of that religion is like, and it harm none, do what thou wilt. So like, do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. But yeah, like
you're kind of fucking hurting your kids, though.
Yeah, you
can
can see the error of that if you have, you have a responsibility or something.
Practice
like
what
that.
you preach.
Seems like a single man's religion or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's like,
Sounds like something we should look into.
I guess starting off, like his dad was like wealthy, like super wealthy. He was a distiller. He made whiskey or some kind of spirit, but
some kind of spirit.
Whoa. But kind of ironically, his dad was a preacher, and
It seems like there's a lot of this, man.
it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah, it's like, fuck you, dad.
Well, I think Crowley even himself admitted that was like part of what pushed him away from church.
Yeah,
was
well,
he was
got
so
bullied.
heavily involved in it and everything as a child, and as you just brought up, like he got bullied and everything, and it pushed him away from that faith.
Yeah, his dad was like
And-
dyed in the wool, super hardline Christian religion guy. So he'd like studying the Bible while his friends are out playing, and then one thing led to another. It's like if you had to make a cult leader, like these are all the boxes you check.
Yeah, he did a really big kind of fuck you, dad. He's like, I'm going to start this kind of big religion, and I'm going to fuck your maid, bro.
Yeah.
So I think he won that argument. If you ask me, score 1 Crowley.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Aleister won, Daddy none.
Somehow he like bought himself into Cambridge. So he went to
No,
Cambridge.
like he was a very smart dude.
Yeah, he was kind of like a villain mastermind type
Yeah, but
person.
he knew a shitload about religion in general.
Well, so when he was at
severely-
Cambridge,
like he was incredibly well versed in
yeah.
religion.
Well, he was super fascinated because like when he was in Cambridge, he joined the Golden Dawn, which I thought he founded the Golden Dawn. He founded Thelema. The Golden Dawn existed long before he did. People in Thelema, like Bram Stoker, the guy who wrote Dracula, was in the Golden Dawn. There was like some other like famous poets and shit like that.
Is that the Cambridge
dead guys.
Illuminati?
Basically,
Kind of.
Butler Yeats, William Butler Yeats was in there too. But so I guess there was something to this Golden Dawn thing. So the rule of the Golden Dawn was like you couldn't pay more senior members to teach you magic. But he came into his room and saw his roommate levitating. And so he told his roommate, like, you don't have to pay rent if you teach me how to do that. And so, like, from there, henceforth, he was super into ritual magic and summoning demons and spirits and angels.
I'm gonna have to like look more into it, but I think I remember him. There was like a story about him spending time in like, I can't remember if it was in the Middle East or if it was like more kind of like Egypt area.
Yeah.
Do you know this?
I know this story.
Is this the one about the girl who?
No, the guy, like, they went out to do this like ritual, and like they tell me if I'm saying it wrong. Like they went to do this kind of like ancient fucking ritual, and the guy that went with him came back like really fucked up from it.
I'm not familiar with that. The one I'm familiar with is he met a girl, and a day later they left to go to Egypt. Him and this girl, they go into a cave, and he starts doing some magic in this dark cave. And the girl, like, her head falls back and her eyes roll in the back of her head. She says she saw the Egyptian god Horus.
Yeah, that's the one I had heard.
So he's like, he doesn't believe her. He's like, I've been trying to, talk to gods and angels my whole life, and I've never been able to do that. There's no way you, the uninitiated, are able to do this. And so he's like, let's go to the museum. Takes her to the museum. He's like, point out Horus. And she points out Horus, and the exhibit that she points out is exhibit number 666. And so that was enough for Crowley to be like, oh, shit.
Well, fuck.
So while he's in Egypt, he writes the Book of the Law, which is like the founding document for his religion. He comes back, and that's when he starts the Thelemic Church. And
so what's their faith? Like, what is, I don't really know a whole lot about.
It's very like, how would you put it?
Is there like multiple deities, or
it's like hedonism, kind of?
It's,
like,
I mean, that's
works with a lot of sexual magic and personal
I imagine
pleasures.
so, because like his old, where's his old house? Like there was like a house where they said like everyone's stories from there was like it was just one big booze and drug filled fucking orgy constantly.
Well, he had like his church, I guess you'd say,
Yeah.
like his religious building was in Italy.
That's where
And it was like orgies and psychedelic stuff. He had a room called the Nightmare Room where he painted all this horrible stuff on the walls, and
Fucking
people would
sweet.
take acid and go in the Nightmare Room. They said if you could go in there, you would be able to face any fears you had after that. They eventually got shut down because one of the members came out and told like the Italian police that somebody died because they drank cat's blood. And they did shut it down.
Well,
for
there
that
goes my
reason.
fucking weekend plans.
Yeah, don't drink cat's blood, folks.
What's the lethal dose of cat's blood?
Any? It depends on the cat.
Yeah, I mean he battled like severe like heroin addiction.
Well, that was probably back when everyone was like, it's medicine. But, the old medicinal
but
heroin.
He was like, he was heavily doing.
I have
it.
a
Loved his
headache.
medicine.
I have a headache. Here's some opium.
Yeah, he so
You
like a
won't
lot
feel your
of if you look at his like track record of like his former lovers, whether they be girlfriends, wives, etc., because somehow the dude had game even though he was uglier than sin and apparently smelled like shit because he didn't really shower.
But he's like, yo, you want
Like a rock star.
to talk to
Right.
gods?
Right. So like a lot of them ended up in like rehab facilities. A lot of them ended up being prostitutes. He had a big
So
thing.
he's pretty much just like an old time fucking, he's an old time fucking rock star that just.
Well, that's why like so many rock stars
Started his own
idolized him.
religion.
Like Jimmy Page bought his house.
Yeah.
From Led
He,
Zeppelin.
he had a house on Loch Ness, didn't he?
Yeah, and I just recently, I say just recently,
Wait,
like
what
within the last couple of years, one of his
yeah.
houses burned down.
Yeah.
I think it was in Warwickshire. I can't remember. Somewhere in England. But
And then
Motherfucker's out there balling, dude. He's living a good life.
yeah,
he's
he
one of
never
those
worked a day in his
depicted
life.
on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John Lennon loved him. Jimmy Page, Ozzy Osbourne.
Ironically, John Lennon, who also terrible father until later in life, also beat his first wife. No wonder John Lennon loved him. Also addicted to heroin. God.
Get after him.
Yeah.
Get after
God,
him.
that just
didn't
keeps going,
Give
actually,
him
now.
the business, man.
John Lennon was Crowley.
He didn't have a lot of redeeming qualities. He was a pretty garbage person. He climbed a mountain one time. I can't remember the name of the mountain. It's like
What was it? The fucking mountain of his own goddamn Fucking selfish well-being.
Bullshit.
Mountain of heroin.
Kachinjunga. Kachinjunga Mountain, of course.
The
It's
fuck's
like in
that?
the Himalayas.
Oh,
somewhere.
everyone knows what that is.
So he climbs this
See,
mountain.
if I don't know the mountain name, I'm not fucking impressed.
Yeah.
Because for all I know, they could be some
Everest
bitchy mountain.
K2.
Dude. Yeah. Climb something big, dude. Mount McKinley.
Yeah.
At least Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro. But he climbs this mountain with this photographer, famous photographer. And he's being an asshole the whole time. He's treating naturally. That's his natural state. He's treating the porters, the Sherpas or whatever they call them, treating them like shit the whole time. And the group he's with kind of like mutinies.
Bro,
It says we're going to go down the mountain.
Kill you, dude.
Fuck you. And he's like, I wouldn't go down the mountain right now. And they're like, fuck you. So these guys descend the mountain. And allegedly, Aleister Crowley was in his tent doing ritual magic, summoning demons or whatever.
Yeah.
And an avalanche breaks and kills 2 of the Sherpas.
I mean, he fucking warned him, though.
He was hated by the mountain climbing community after that. Justifiably.
No.
We're never fucking climbing
was-
with Crowley again.
Yeah,
There were
he-
bumper
he's a
stickers
dick.
made. No climb Crowley, dude.
Don't go shooting with Cheney.
Yeah.
Don't go climbing with
All right,
Crowley.
first off, you can shoot with Cheney, just don't dance around like a bird.
Yeah. Thought he was a bird.
That dude apologized. That dude apologized to Cheney. I know this is off topic, but fuck it. The guy that Cheney shot apologized to him.
Yeah, dude, that's what makes Dick Cheney
Jesus
my
Christ, man. He's got that Halliburton
Well,
money to
if
throw
you needed
around,
more
dude.
proof
Fucking
that
hero.
Aleister Crowley's more evil than Dick Cheney, he said, I don't have any remorse for the Sherpas that went down.
No,
Because he's probably one of those pieces of shit that thought certain people were subhuman and shit.
Probably, yeah. That was the time period for that.
And if that's your thought process, fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bad
Crowley
juju on you.
subhuman.
Bad juju.
Yeah, we'll go into a tent and summon a fucking avalanche on your ass.
Balrog.
God, now we're talking.
I might summon the Loch Ness Monster, ask you for Tree Fitty about every other day.
I said Balrog, and Brian just got a chubby.
Oh yeah, dude.
He's raging semi
fucking-
right here. It's poking me in the leg, actually. It's kind of awkward.
But yeah, Aleister
He
Crowley,
checks.
huge piece of garbage. Don't be like Aleister Crowley. Whether or not his religion had any clout.
Now that's the thing. I'm sure there was some as in every faith, there's gonna be people who do use it, use it in a good way. So I'm sure you could take his teachings and apply them into some way, but him as a person is just.
Yeah, can you separate the person from the teachings?
I think so. I
Yeah.
really do think so. Because even you look at every faith, you have your fucking crazies and your fucking good people. Every faith.
Right.
So
you look at
I think it really depends on the user, and the user's interpretation.
I think if you kind of factor all of it in, he kind of fits the mold of a megalomaniac that would make his own religion and try to start a cult.
He seemed like he was up his own ass.
Yeah.
So he's a for sure sociopath.
Oh, yeah.
He was 100%.
He wanted to be God.
He was intelligent. He did have a way of talking to people, getting them to listen to him, to follow him, and manipulate them with no remorse for what he would do to them.
Yeah.
And that's typically what you find in a lot of serial killers and stuff.
It's also prior to the internet, so you could build this kind of mysterious aura about you.
Yeah.
Back then.
Didn't he also? I hope I have that right. Work for the government.
Yeah, he was. He was a spy.
He was a fucking.
They said not a very good spy.
I could imagine.
He ended up-
He seems like the kind that would brag about being a fucking spy. You know what I
straight
mean?
Archer.
Yeah, exactly. Like totally blow his fucking cover. Fucking.
They said he was more like the Pink Panther than James Bond.
Yeah.
He's like, I infiltrated because he went into the Golden Dawn under a fake name, and so that's how he sold that to the MI6. Was like, yeah, I infiltrated a secret society.
What was your name? Hank.
Oh no, it was way more unbelievable.
Fuck! He's got a real fake name.
It's like if somebody said this name,
Lucius.
Shit, for sure.
Like Dave Franco.
Lucius Frigidaire.
Hold
Tom Riddle.
on. Count Vladimir Zverev.
Jesus fucking Christ!
As if his ego wasn't big enough. He's Donald Trump of occultism.
Yeah, he needed a bigger. He's like, how can I make my name better, but more secrety?
Your religion needs more magic.
So did he have any? Okay, so I don't know what all it said, but Did he himself, like, excluding the whole Horus thing, did he have any kind of, like, claim to have any kind of mystical encounters and crazy shit go on, or?
I'm sorry if I keep shaking this table. This is a new table for us. Yeah, so after that girl saw Horus or whatever, he claimed that his guardian angel, Iowas, was whispering over his shoulder the words to write into the book of the law. Fuck. Which is supposed to be like the written word of the god Thoth from Egyptian. I think that's right.
His faith is largely kind of Egyptian based.
It's so bizarre because
I know the iconography he used was like all over the board, dude. He used like religious iconography, from like, every fucking religion, and kind of wore different shit, and
very like generally esoteric beliefs.
Yeah, he was one of those just fucking weird dudes, man. But he took it and ran with it. And that's why I think, like, it's one thing to like find interest in, crazy shit, interest in crazy faiths and crazy beliefs. But to get that fucking sucked into it, to literally believe that you have this entity speaking to you that's, you're writing the word of some gods and shit,
ghostwriting or something.
To me, it's like almost, it's a mental fucking illness, dude.
Maybe we're
probably
just too disconnected.
Fuck, my fucking, I want to know what my Thoth angels fucking been saying.
We're gonna need a lot more heroin for that.
Yeah,
it's easy to say. What do they say? It's like a religion is a cult is a cult when the leader's still alive. When the leader dies, then it becomes a religion.
So I mean, with them, isn't that considered a? It's considered a
religion.
It's a religion now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, he died. So
fucking Christ, man. And to me, like that, the Crowley thing. There's actually a lot of kind of underground faiths that are really heavily like old school magic based and shit. Like they're using like painted fucking mirrors and all this fucking crazy shit. Yeah, it's. I mean, they're into it. And a lot of what was the guys in the Bible? Huh? Is it the Bible? I'm not gonna fucking remember his name. It's gonna bug me all fucking night. But there's like they use his what's the fuck?
Solomon?
Solomon. Yeah. They a lot of them kind of revolve around, you have to do this in Solomon's key and all this.
Yeah, well,
and this and
when
this
he
and,
was doing the magic, when the girl
that
heard
part of his
Horus,
shit too? Yeah.
when the girl supposedly heard from Horus, he was reading out of the Goetta, which the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. See, so that's the weird like interconnecting thing, is like a lot of those faiths like that start to get weird, they always kind of revert to the same, almost stereotypically the same kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's a connection.
It's bizarre.
And dude, for all we fuck, and that's my thing. Like, I know shit wanna like find someone who practices this shit, and like I'm not gonna do no fucking blood magic weird shit, but like I want to go to a small fucking event, obviously with you guys in case we got to fight. So just to fucking see
it play out.
Wait,
yeah.
How much blood in the blood magic? Like just a little bit, or
just the tip?
just a tip?
Well, I was
All
like,
right, I'll do it.
magic is sort of just like the term. It's really hard to separate any kind of esoteric belief from his religion because it was so prolific. Like he was the progenitor of all modern esoteric.
Oh yeah,
beliefs.
he was the jumping point for so much.
Like even the tarot cards I bought were his version of tarot cards, or not bought. I was gifted, but yeah. So magic's a weird term for it because like in Christianity, we call it a tradition, right? Yeah. This is the body of Christ.
You're doing a ritual.
You're doing a ritual.
It's a ritual.
You just don't call it magic in Christianity. So
we have different names describing the same.
The Freemasons, they do their rituals, right, which could be construed as magic. So I think it's more of like their branding,
Right.
You gotta have your own fucking thing, dude.
But he was a dickweed, so it's probably all bullshit.
Yeah, it's like him and Rasputin are like the two biggest pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Dude, I tell you, fucking Rasputin,
Guevara.
though, that motherfucker was...
Yeah.
Dude, that motherfucker was built out of different shit. They could not kill that sumbitch.
Who?
Rasputin.
Oh yeah. Dude.
God damn, man. Whatever magic that motherfucker was doing worked.
Yeah, and he didn't bathe either.
Yeah,
and
so-
somehow got laid all the time.
That's the key to immortality, boys.
You got to be Russian and not bathe.
not bathe.
And you can survive
You
poison.
gotta speak
Getting
game.
shot. Like,
Look at Keith Richards.
fuck.
He's gonna live to be 200 years old.
He'll outlive us, dude.
Dude,
for
he
sure.
still has a six pack. Shit, Jagger just had a son. Dude's like in his 80s and had a kid with a 29-year-old
That ain't
supermodel.
fucking. That ain't right, man.
It's Jagger. What are you gonna do?
You know, because one day he's gonna have to go into the world without his son. You know, that's.
He's got moves like Jagger.
Shut the fuck up.
No, so I think next time maybe I'll start writing stuff up about Rasputin. We'll cover something like that.
Rasputin.
Because he's really interesting because he has to do with like the last SARS and stuff like that.
I know the downfall of all that shit, but so like, I wonder like with Crowley's whole thing because like supposedly like, I know people that had like gone to his houses and shit were like reported tons
Yep.
of like paranormal fucking activity. And,
Jimmy Page
yeah.
said the house that he bought from him was super haunted.
Yeah. Oh, I don't see. That's my thing. Is like
I don't know if that's the one that burned down or not.
I
He had a
don't-
bunch of houses.
I don't believe in that faith in general. Like I don't follow that shit. But to me, like any kind of like act of when your intent is to summon something, I believe it's all like the process can be whatever you want it to be.
Sure.
As
It's
long
the
as
intention.
the intent is the same. So if you go and you can go in there in the fucking kitchen and light some candles and make a bowl of macaroni and cheese with the intent to summon something. Fuck it, who knows? You might fucking do it. So that's the thing is like, I think that, you know, of all these faiths, you know, you have, you know, in Christianity, you have people praying, you know, for, you know, angels come down and help them and they might see something or, you know, all over the world, you have these interactions with spirits of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's all based on like your intention to draw them in. If it is the case, that would be what makes sense to me. And so I don't doubt at all that his houses would just be fucking ripe with. And that's the thing, dude. Imagine all the shit that is like that was never written down. No one ever talked about all the fucked up shit that went down in those houses. Because you know he
Right.
probably practiced some weird shit. Dude.
Oh well, that was in that church where the guy drank the cat blood. There was animal sacrifice and blood magic and weird shit, man.
Quote unquote sexual magic where I'm pretty sure he just raped people.
Oh, bestiality too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in there.
What a fucking swell, dude. Banging the maid, banging the family fucking goat.
I mean, when banging the maid with your parents in the house
That's a power
is-
move, dude.
That's a
is
power move.
actually like the least shitty thing you
That's
did.
some-
Yeah, I
American
think
Pie.
that's probably the best thing he did.
Right.
That and leaving his kids alone. Yeah. Because he
kinda saved 'em.
He gave that maid a new career in prostitution.
the
but
oldest
new-
profession in the book.
Yeah, and he actually gave his kids a leg up in life by not being involved.
He
in
was
their-
like, "Listen, this is for the greater good. You're going to
Greater good.
the school for, I don't know, abandoned children.
the school for kids with weird, fucked up dads of Europe.
Oh,
Where was he from?
He sent her to
Warwickshire,
Catholic
England.
schools.
Okay.
He's an Englishman.
That's what happened.
He's one of 3
Is
people
everyone
to
else
sleep.
if you're from that part of England? Is that like you guys like known for that shit?
For some
Do
spoopy
people
stuff.
make fun of you for like?
Do they have
"Oh,
Aleister
fucking
Crowley Day?
Yeah,
He's one of 3 people to sleep inside the king's chamber in the Great Pyramid.
that's metal as fuck.
The only other two, Hitler and Napoleon.
So that's a pretty exclusive.
You know,
club.
it's also all 3 of those at the time. There were people who considered them to be the Antichrist.
Well, it's a lot to live up to.
Of course, nowadays that gets thrown around a lot. Like,
think ultimately
Obama
it
was
was
the
pretty-
Antichrist.
we got a lot of
Trump was
antichrists.
the
We got a lot of
Antichrist.
antichrists now.
Putin's the Antichrist.
I think the real
Everyone's
one. It's
Hitler.
probably if I had to like put a number on like who's probably the antichrist. It's probably like fucking Chris Angel. You know what I mean?
It's probably
yeah.
some random kid named Damien.
Because that's
we
what the
haven't
that's
met
what the
yet.
antichrist would wear. You know, he'd like summon in. He'd be like, "Take me to the nearest hot topic." You know what I mean?
No, because he's supposed to be.
He's wearing trip
Yeah,
pants.
make a hot topic vomit on me.
No, he'd be
We'll
the
fool
exact
these
opposite, man.
people.
I'm telling you, he's supposed to be super charismatic.
Would he wear fucking
Yeah, Chris
plaid
Angel.
khakis?
Maybe.
You wouldn't be starstruck if Chris Angel walked in right now. I would freak out. He would levitate, and I'd be like, teach me your ways.
Mind freak.
And that's how a cult starts. Boom.
David Blaine's cooler.
That's
I don't
not
know.
untrue, but he's more of like an escape artist.
I just said he's cooler.
At a party, Chris Angel.
I picture Chris Angel doing crazy amounts of coke, dude.
Yeah.
Like gross.
Aleister Crowley amounts
Gross.
of cocaine.
Yeah. And I picture David Blaine's like
Eating
that guy,
shrooms.
that guy that's like sipping gin in the corner. You know what I mean? We're like, what are you drinking? Gin.
Nah,
You're like,
He's
"What
he's out by
He's
his
more
car the
of
whole
a
night, ready to leave.
nice,
Yeah.
a nice Merlot guy. You know,
No, he eats frogs and shit.
the-" Chris Angel looks like he has like a massive electric, like douchey electric guitar collection. You know what I mean?
BC Rich.
Yeah, just like guitars you look at and you go like, that's
The
fucking,
clear
What are
ones?
you? What are you like 8 years old? What is that?
This one's got 3 necks on it.
And then David Blaine looks like the guy who like collects stamps. You know, some really weird vintage
he's
shit.
a coin collector.
I got some fucking.
And this is a
coins.
64 nickel.
Man, we got off fucking track.
Well, I think we talked about everything we wanted to talk about.
Show him your death whistle.
Yeah,
Oh, I have an Aztec death whistle.
it's right here. Oh, here, bud.
My dad got a 3D printer. And he's like, what should I print? And I knew immediately what I wanted.
I want a death whistle, Dad.
The Aztec death whistle. So I'll try not to make your ears bleed.
It's horrifying in person.
Yeah, it's. I
Like-
see where it got its name.
I
I
watched
heard
the
that-
waveforms on the computer just jump.
If I heard that in the woods, like at night or like at dusk,
Horrifying.
yeah, people are like, yeah, the enemies fled in fear. No
Just-
fucking shit. After they filled their loincloths with shit they did.
1,000 Aztec warriors blowing death whistles with their obsidian swords in their hands.
Jesus
Yeah,
fucking
so they
Christ.
used to use them when, so like when the battle was done, because night fell, and there'd be like, say, 2 hills, right? The one side that's fighting's on that hill, Aztecs are on this hill. At night, when the enemy's trying to get their rest, they would have warriors blowing those whistles. So, goddamn, that's
That is-
just
that
like
is- that's psychological
raining
warfare,
out.
dude.
Yeah, that's exactly what
They
it
didn't have the
is.
Geneva Convention back then. You can't blow your whistle. Anything but the whistle.
Stop! It is 8 p.m. Enough. This
We have to fight wars tomorrow.
Hey, it is a Tuesday night, and I have work tomorrow.
That was back in the day where people, dumb motherfuckers, still lined up to fight. You know what I mean? That shit cracks me up in old war movies. You shoot, then I shoot. Okay, deal. All right.
It's breaking the laws of war.
Fuck. Well, Aleister Crowley, Helltown, giant garbage dump pythons. That was actually my nickname in high school. You know, Aztec rape whistles and
Yo, sick
Ghost Stories of Ohio and Aleister Crowley.
That's
Sorry,
a lot.
guys. I mean, we tried.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for watching this one.
Thanks for
Or
putting
listening.
up with us for about an hour.
Well, big guy, tell these motherfuckers where they can find us at.
Find us on Spotify. Probably on there now. You can find us on YouTube where we put the recordings of these on. Threshold Paranormal Podcast on YouTube. Threshold Paranormal on Facebook. Threshold Para on Snapchat. We'll have a lot more fun to do with that. We're actually going to get out in the field here soon.
Yeah, we got some announcements coming. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly when that's all going to happen. But we're going to have a busy year planned, I think.
We making moves.
Yeah, it's going to be
money moves.
It's going to be an exciting time, so stick with us. That way, when we're big, famous on the Travel Channel and overtaking Zach Bagan's spot as like the paranormal people, you're like, oh, I remember them. I remember when they were in his basement.
Prayers be to Bob Evans,
The only true faith.
the master of the sausage gravy.
Oh, Sunshine Skillet.
Blessings be upon.
All right, fuckers. Thanks for tuning in. Stay spoopy.
Deuces.
Ancestors protect me.
May you be protected.